Culture Matters podcast. This is an exciting episode, culture topic, how to create a culture of continuous improvement. You follow me on Doran Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. Go to Instagram if you don't follow me, Doran underscore the culture man, to see culture topics, 1 to 3 minutes long on all things culture, leadership, business, etc. And I'm elaborating on one of the topics today. How to create a culture of continuous improvement. Continuous improvement. Well, you're not going to create that if you don't act it out. You're not going to create that if you don't actualize that. You're not going to create that. You're not even going to create it. You're going to create value for customers by being engaged. And no matter how, where, like, obviously the engagement of the founder CEO, if it's a founder CEO, if it's the CEO, whoever's the ultimate leader of the organization, the engagement is going to look differently based on the size of the organization and so on. But we all know deep down when we're not engaged. We definitely know when those that are above us in the company are not engaged. And I challenge you, if you're in that position where you feel powerless, take responsibility for your life and get engaged, because you're going to find that your identity, your character, your self-pride, your meaning of your life, everything improves when you get engaged, when you have a plan, when you sacrifice, when you stick to it, when you smile, when you high five, when you put it out, you get it back. You don't have to be resentful, you can be grateful. And so how to create a culture of continuous improvement is it starts with you, whatever position you're in the organization. If we're talking about a culture, though, a company culture, and we're talking about the person that actually has the largest piece of equity that's operating it from a managerial perspective, whether that's a founder, CEO, or just a CEO on behalf of shareholders, it is going to come from here's a hack that's just going to blow up everything in the best possible way, innovate, grow, and that's take it very seriously. Take it like your life depends on it. Show up like your life depends on it, because your life does depend on it. It's a big part of your life. How you work with customers, with employees, that's what makes you who you are. It makes you a better version, or has the capacity to make you a better version for your family, for the people you love the most, for your future family. We're getting feedback from the people we work with and the people we serve that are subordinate to us, from our bosses, on our character every single day. It's up to us to listen. It's up to us to have the humility to hear what hurts. It's up to us to speak courageously, to challenge the status quo if we think it's wrong. If we've done everything that it takes to get the best, to be the best we can, and we believe that, we've actually put in the work. We're not delusionally entitled to that. We've studied, we've sacrificed, we've our results speak louder than our words. We have a responsibility to tell the truth in the organization, because people are going to listen to us. People are going to listen to us. We have a responsibility, if we're in a position of authority and influence, we have a responsibility to listen to our subordinates so they feel safe to tell us the truth, so that when they're right, the whole place doesn't burn down. So here's a hack on how to create a culture of continuous improvement. Read to think. Read to think. Study, prepare, read to think. When you're reading, read to think. Explore ideas that make you uncomfortable. Be open to ideas that force you to confront your beliefs. Read to think. Write to develop. Write your thoughts. Prepare for meetings. Write down what you want to talk about, what you want to learn, what questions you want to ask. Same way I write down before I do these monologues, my notes, write to develop. Thinking is writing. Listen to hear what is unsaid. Listening to hear what is unsaid takes presence, focus, determination, and an open spirit. Be open. Act out curiosity. Love people. Speak to let go. Tell the truth. Leave it all on the line. Don't be rude, but be honest. All right, so here's my formula. Oh, number 5, work. Work means sacrifice. That means work means I could be doing something else and I am doing this. I could be doing something else and I am doing this. Right now, as I talk to you, I could be dead before you even hear this, because I could die right as soon as I hit stop, I'm dead. So in that thought experiment, the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of my life I spent talking to you. I'm working. I'm sacrificing what I can be doing right now in this space time to talk to you. And I'm doing that for my future self. I believe my personal goals and my business goals that are aligned, I believe they're aligned and they're tied to what I do for you right now. So future Jay is going to benefit from the fruit of what comes from this sacrifice. Don't forget about work. Don't abdicate responsibility, as Peterson would say. So work. Here's a formula. Oh, and I would chat. Okay. Listen to Culture Matters, the Culture Matters podcast. Every Sunday we release thoughts from 30 days of thought. I'm going through, I'm reading, I'm writing, I'm listening, I'm speaking. I'm going through that process, that meditation I use to become better, a better person, a better leader. And that's going out every Sunday on the Culture Matters podcast. And if you don't see it on Sunday, look through and you'll see it. Here is my formula for passion. Competence times responsibility divided by accountability is passion. Your passion meter is competence times responsibility divided by accountability. So we are not able to take accountability from others, meaning we can't handle the truth when we're not living truth. So I think people are defensive to feedback relative to their ability to respond, how responsible they are. So like oftentimes people that own companies they're not listening to their customers because they're too insecure for that. They're not responsible enough. What makes you think they're going to listen to their employees if they're not listening to their customers? What makes you think they're going to listen to their customers if they're not listening to their employees? A lot of that stems from insecurity. Now, in the beginning of a business, it makes sense to be insecure because we're not in a secure place. It's not even an idea that works yet. It's just still a vision. There's unlikely to be stability in the financials and the resources, and it's just sheer resourcefulness. And with that comes some psychology that has to be unlearned as the organization becomes large enough to have people inside of it remind it or help it think, and those would be employees that think. In the beginning, it's so fragile emotionally, psychologically for people to start things to handle feedback. That's so what complements that or supplements that? It's absolute ownership. It's an unbelievable amount of grit and determination and ownership. Ownership not just equity, but in time and space, in all in psychology of an identity to that idea that leads to market penetration, customers buying in. That time invested to build the skill to actualize the talent, the capacity of talent. Like, okay, is it actually, if it's a good idea and a good product, the marketplace will test the character of the people that start it, and they'll build competence. So competence and responsibility, the ability to respond under dire threat. In the beginning, when you lack resources, social, economic, no one believes, there's limited capital. It's competence and confidence, right? False pride in a sense, like a neurotic pride based on the idealized self, where this could be. There's this delusion, this founder's, you know, mask, or not mask, let's say, well, in a sense, mask. It's like I put on armor and I feel safer in the war, even though I can get shot in the eyeball. I'm less afraid. I have this mask, this visionary mask, this self belief, this confidence based on the idealized self. So competence and confidence and ownership, it tests us. The marketplace tests us, and so the passion meter will be tested by competence times responsibility divided by accountability. So let's say the competence is, let's see here, competence is knowledge, experience, wisdom, talent, environment. Responsibility is how you integrate your competence, navigating the interpersonal and environmental conflicts so let's say that you have very high competence. Let's just say 10, a 10. And you have a 2 in responsibility, because the responsibility is how you work well with others. So 10 times 2 is 20. Accountability, you have you want a lower number. So you have an accountability of 1. Let me explain what accountability is first, actually. This makes more sense. Accountability is what you are responsible for. Accountability is who and what you're responsible for. So outside of the business, you're responsible for other people. Outside of the business, there are actually factors that are influencing your behavior, your likelihood of sacrifice, your likelihood of focus. Those would be children. Those would be people to prove wrong. Those would be things outside of the business that actually influence your behavior, your ability to say no to some things and yes to other things. Those other things being in alignment with what you need to actually sacrifice to make the business successful. So just think of it like this. The more things that there are, if you make a list, you're going to divide it by that amount. So if it's 10 times 2 versus 10 times 20 will be 200. If there's 5 things, 10 times 2 was 20 divided by 5 is 4 versus 10 times 200 divided by 5 is 40. The higher the responsibility score and the lower or higher the accountability score, it shows how much energy is actually in the mix. And how much energy is in the mix influences has a relationship with the influence that one exerts on other people. We want a higher competence multiplied by a higher responsibility divided by a lower accountability. That would be how I would articulate that. Because the less things one is accountable to, the more true their responsibility is. The more things one is accountable to. So like if someone has a very high accountability, like 10 versus 1, their responsibility has to be 10 times just to be equal to that, to get the passion score. Because the less things we're accountable to, the higher our responsibility multiplied by our competence, the more clear that we have a passion score that this is like our fate, this is our destiny. There's something uniquely special about us, or there's something like that is a passionate individual. They're doing this for some reason that is not rooted in just all the and in fact, there could be a correlation between the amount of things one is accountable to. Actually, I could think of that, like if you go through your life and you do an audit of all the things that have happened that you were unsatisfied about, and you listed them all out, there could be a connection with those amount of circumstances and the passion that you have. So I can have it totally twisted. I think what I need to do on this episode is do a part two and unpack this theorem of competence times responsibility divided by accountability. But know this. Think about this. This is the perfect way to explain how to create a culture of continuous improvement. This is an unfinished theorem that I've been working on for some time. So you're watching me live attempt to improve it. And what I'm trying to articulate is that one's competence, which is based on their experience, their environment in life, their education, the wisdom derived, the types of people around, and their degree of personal responsibility, and the factors that have hold them to account, the people, the places, the things, the experiences in their life, can be proven in a mathematical way to demonstrate a passion score. Essentially, that one that we could infer the likely, up or down of someone's success based on it, almost like an ambition level. So that's something I've been working on for some time. So work with me as we explore this, how to create a culture of continuous improvement. And we'll continue talking about this in the Culture Matters podcast. Follow me at @Doran_the Culture Man on Instagram. Leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast, and we will see you next time.